Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where you may notice things are a little bit different than they were when we left there. And full disclosure, when I loaded up the game, we had a big physics reset, and that caused this to bounce, tip over, and run into the rover here. I did end up using the cheat set position system to set the position back up over here. It was just a physics bug, right? When we loaded in, it just bounced and started going all over the place. It was absolutely nothing to do with any input or anything like that. This magnetometer did get broken in the event, we'll call it, and that's actually fine. We can repair that, but it's not like we're going to get any data out of it, so it's not strictly speaking necessary. But let's get it repaired nevertheless. We're going to have Bill, of course, let go here. He's going to hop out of his seat. So we're going to have you leave seat and hop on down. There you go. We need to grab an EVA repair kit. Who forgot their parachute? Oh, it was Bill. He has an EVA repair kit. Okay, cool. So we're going to hop over here. Let's just fly on over. We don't want to hit our solar panel. That would be bad. Hang on. This is no longer here. It just disappeared on us. It was literally just here. Okay. I guess it's not broken. Never mind. It was definitely telling me that it was broken. Retract boom. Maybe it's more broken than I thought. Let's try removing it and replacing it and see what happens. Okay, that seems to have fixed it. Okay, so the magnetometer was a little bit broken. Just not quite the way I thought it was. Cool. We had a repair kit. It wouldn't have been a big deal even if it was fully broken, so that's okay. We're going to head back over here. We're going to grab our parachute. We're going to replace the EVA repair kit, and we're going to hop back up over here. And we're going to, of course, board the external command seat. Now, we do want to get Bob to EVA here, because I did also realize that we never did our EVA science experiment. So we're going to hop on down here. We're going to... Where is that? EVA science kit. We're going to do this, and we're going to perform our quote-unquote science. Okay, perform EVA science. Ah, yes. Science. Perfect. There we go. So with that completed, we can then keep that experiment. Apparently we're not actually going to get anything out of this. Apparently not. It must just be from the moon, but that's okay. We might as well run it anyway. So I think at this point we are now officially ready to go. We're probably not coming back to this rover, so anything that, like any state that it's in doesn't really matter. But we're definitely in a bit of a precarious situation here, and it's just when I loaded in, the physics went wild. That happens sometimes. Not much to do about it. Nothing on this actually broke, but we're all good. So at this point, I think we're ready to take off and make our way back. Let's see, we already have a surface sample in here, and we should have one in here as well. I'm just going to make absolutely certain. We're going to grab another one. Yep, it's already stored on the MEM. And we'll make sure that we collect everything that we can. EVA science experiment, and the surface sample was already stored. Perfect. So we've got these bolt-on fuel tanks, and we don't exactly need the fuel, but it will help offset our mass here a little bit from the Science Junior. So in theory, this should actually be a little bit more controllable, hopefully. We'll see. We do need to get on out of here, so we're going to throttle up, and we're going to... Well, that one didn't go. We'll try it again. There we go. That's more like it. Oh, this feels so much more controllable. Wonderful. Oh, this is so much more controllable. It's barely pulling to the side at all. I love it. So yeah, that'll definitely do the trick. We're just going to push our apoapsis height up to around here or so, and then we'll hop over to the horizon. I'm wondering, I don't know what our inclination is, but it doesn't really matter all that much. It looks like we might need to pull it off this direction a little bit. So like heading over this way to be something around here. We'll call that good. And we're just going to make our way on out of here. Yeah, I do wish that this was a different biome up here. That would have been nice, but alas, it is not. So yeah, this is super controllable at this point. We'll just rotate our way over to here, although rotating it apparently does pull us pretty far off axis. And apparently also gives us a little bit of pulling, but that's fine. So we're at about 20 kilometers. We can shut down our engine here and put ourselves into an orbit. Wonderful. And for the record, Apollo 17 should not be a 4-parter. Maybe a 3-parter, depending on how much rover science we decide to get. We'll see, but it should not be a 4-parter. So let's get into position for this burn. Oh, we're trying to go over to prograde. That would do it. Okay. So we'll park about here. There we go. Beautiful. And we can see we've burned about a third of our fuel here, which is approximately correct. Yeah, something like that. And we can definitely see that we're a little bit off on our inclination as well, but we'll fix that. No big deal there. So we're going to start up our burn in about 40 seconds. 30, 20. Oh, we missed it. Okay, I was a little overzealous there, but that's fine. We don't actually care too much about this. This is good enough. Beautiful. So we are, of course, going to set the... We need to clean this up. We need to get rid of our debris for sure. We're going to set the Apollo 16 as our target. And of course, all these landers are remaining in orbit, right? So that's fine. Here at the descending node, 4.2 degrees off. Okay, that does make sense considering we did change our inclination for that landing. So that seems absolutely fine. We're going to bring this over to be about... Changing that timing just a wee bit about there. Burn time in 3. Oh my. Oh no, hang on. Start burn in 22 minutes. That's after an orbit. Why would that be? Oh, it's starting the burn way up over here. Okay, I gotcha. It feels weird, but okay, sure. We're going to make our way on over. That's fine. We'll keep an eye out to see if we get any science that we can grab. For the moment, it seems fine. And we're probably not going to be bringing our engineer along in quite this capacity in the next flight as well. This was very, very much a cowboy mission. No doubt about that. 40 seconds to go. 30, 20, 10, and 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. That should be good. 0.0. I like it. Okay, so now, of course, we're going to be looking to get ourselves an intercept. And what would that end up looking like? Well, it looks like about here would be the time to do it. Oh, that's looking really good, actually. So 4.5 kilometers separating, we can definitely work with that, but we could also bring it down just a wee bit like so. We can see that they're about 60 meters per second apart. That's absolutely fine. No problems. Okay. And let's just position here, and let's warp. So off we go. We definitely had a successful rover test. I would call that actually incredibly successful. That rover was put through some significant strain, and we did find out that we don't want those solar panels, obviously. We need to change our power situation. No doubt about that. But beyond that, that was pretty good. All things considered. So we're going to prepare for this burn in 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay. This is probably good enough. Yeah, 0.4 kilometers. That looks good. So now we're going to warp to about here, and then we'll do a corrective burn. So we're, of course, going to be getting closer to our target. We want to be in target mode here. There's our target, as well as some other bits of junk here. Excellent. So we can definitely pull ourselves off over this direction in a bit of a corrective burn. And then we can flip ourselves on around. Wonderful. Okay, I want to be focused on us now. Or Apollo 16, that would work. So let's warp to about here. Only about 30 seconds in the future. Keeping an eye on this situation here. Okay. We've drifted off a teeny tiny bit. We can do a small corrective burn, which also doubles as a braking burn. Out over here. There we go. And let's warp in a little bit. We may or may not be on a collision course now. It looks like... Well, we definitely need to start braking here. Actually, do a lot of braking. We've overshot. Cool. So now we're coming in the other direction. I want to do a small correction here. And actually, from here, we can probably just work using RCS. So we'll just position here in the prograde marker. RCS on. And we can just do small corrections with our RCS. We don't really need to be doing this oscillating back and forth. Thank you very much. We should, however, consider doing a little bit of braking here pretty soon. Bringing this down to about 1 meter per second, which means that we are now about a minute out. Let's warp in a little ways. Cool. And we'll set this as our target. And we're going to need to, of course, bring this down to a relative standstill. For the time being, I'm reasonably content being at 0.5 meters per second. Okay. And let's bring this to a halt now. Now that we're like, well, we're like 6.5 meters out, so let's do that. Phenomenal. Next, of course, we're going to set this as a target, and this is unmanned at this point, but we are not telling Mission Control that. That is going to get Bill in a lot of trouble if they find out that he went down to the surface. Which, in retrospect, naming that Bill's base is maybe not the best idea in that situation. But, you know, sometimes Bill just doesn't think these things through very well. So, here we are. We're going to head on in here. Just making some small RCS corrections, and there we go. We are docked up. So now Bill is going to want to transfer. So we're going to leave seat. Okay, Bill. As far as Mission Control is aware, Bill was here the whole time. There were never any problems. He never actually left this capsule. Perfect. That's absolutely wonderful. We can see that our lunar module still has like half of its fuel, which is pretty good, actually. No doubt there. So we're going to transfer our crew on back to the command module here. There we go. We don't need to do any fuel transfer, but we do, of course, need to transfer our science over. And so we shall. So we're going to collect all of this data. We're going to collect all of it here. And then we're going to collect all of it here as well. So we can see 12, 3, and 2. Perfect. So that is all of our data collected at this point. There should be no data there. There should be no data here. And none of these guys should have any data in them as well. So that is absolutely excellent. We're now ready to undock here. There we go. And we're ready to head home. Now, we're not going to want to do that burn until, like, here, I think. Yes, that's approximately correct. And then we'll bring that on back. Well, maybe more like here. But we'll bring that on back down to our standard re-entry of about 40 kilometers. And then we'll do a radial retrograde re-entry burn. Cool. So from here on out, we're trying to make this be rather standard. But Bill, Jeb, and Bob are going to have something to say about that. Absolutely. So we'll get positioned, and off we go. Goodbye, Lunar Lander. You can join all of the other Lunar Landers. And we're about 40 seconds to burn. 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, Mark. We did not activate this engine. That would help. Okay, engine is activated. And off we go. Just going to angle us right at the maneuver node here. Perfect. I mean, really, this should be a prograde burn, right? So we can just position here. In theory. And let's just bring this on down until this periapsis is about 40 kilometers. We don't need to have this one pinned open. Cool. So that's 1,800,000, 600,000, 400, 200, 35. That'll work. Excellent. So as we come back over here, of course, we are going to be looking to do a radial retrograde re-entry about here, and we'll angle for this to be somewhere around 10-ish kilometers. So something about like that. Phenomenal. And we'll see how Kerbal orbits underneath that. It'll be interesting. Reason being, I have no idea where we're going to be landing. Okay, so here we come in. It looks like this is probably going to be a water landing. Okay, that's good. We do like that. And we're just going to position for this radial retrograde burn. Right about here. And onward we warp. Only about a minute to go here. And then, of course, we'll have to manually warp further. So we might as well just manually warp it from here, I think. 1 minute. 50 seconds. We're loading, so it's a little slow. 40. 30. 20. 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. So this is going to be a 2-minute, 20-second burn. We'll physics warp it. And we'll bring our apoapsis on down, while maintaining our periapsis at a kind of reasonable point. Kind of reasonable. Now, we are currently in atmosphere. So that's fine. We'll just continue to burn at this point until we get a little lower. Okay, we're starting to get low enough that we're just going to flop over to retrograde at this point. Seems like we're a little low on this re-entry burn, but that's fine. So we're going to burn here until our periapsis is somewhere around 12 kilometers, right? That's going to be our goal here. Time to periapsis is, of course, increasing, and we're just going to continue to burn here for the next little bit, and then we'll ditch our engine. So we're at about 40 kilometers right now. We definitely burned this one a little low. Okay, I maybe should have checked that. But it's okay. Absolutely fine. The apoapsis height is dropping significantly. That's where the majority of this energy is going right now. But there we go. Cool. So we'll just do that there. And we'll separate that on out. Magnificent. And we're heading on in for a water landing. I'm 99% certain about this. Beautiful. It will be a night landing, which isn't ideal necessarily for YouTube compression purposes, but here we are. Cool. Still at about 2.2 kilometers per second here. But we're starting to get pretty low and starting to drop our speed. Let's come out of physics warp here. Okay, this is a magnetometer. We don't have any data in the magnetometer, so that's fine. Currently traveling at about 2 kilometers per second with a fair amount of space over the water here yet. Okay. Noted. We might actually end up landing on this bit of land here, which would be awkward, but 1.7, 1.6, well, 1.65 at this point. Now 1.6. We'll see. We've got some space here. Definitely slowing down on the horizontal speed. We have almost purely horizontal speed at this moment, although we do have some vertical. 1.3. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be coming down on this continent, which is mildly awkward. But 1.2, 1.1, 1 kilometer per second. As soon as we can, we'll get the drogues out and try to get over the water here. Watching. Drogues out. Yeah, we're currently going to be over shores. Just not quite enough drag. That's sad, but it's not the end of the world, of course. So we'll come on down here. We're definitely going to be landing on land here. But sure, desert is fine. We're actually not too concerned about it. We just prefer the water landing for this because that's what this capsule was designed for in reality. In Kerbal, it doesn't actually matter, so it's fine. No problem whatsoever there. We also just got a bunch of screen messages. Oh, right. This is due to the physics jumping. Well, hopefully that didn't actually break anything. Hopefully it didn't. I don't think we're missing any desert science. We'll see when we land. But I don't think we are. So downward we go, and of course this means Apollo 16 is completed, which means that we should be getting ourselves our funding for that. Perfect. Let me mark that off on the list. Actually, we should unphysics warp before we land here. There we go. Unphysics warp, and now I'll mark it off on the list. So that is done. Fantastic. I didn't hear any explosions, so that's a good sign. I guess we can grab a mystery goo observation, and we can have Bob EVA and grab a surface sample. It's a tiny amount of science, but we can definitely do that. So we'll recover that vessel. That's going to get us a solid amount of science. The question is, what do we want to spend this science on, right? So we need to be thinking about what we're going to be building next, which pretty much is going to be orbital laboratories. So spending that science is going to become interesting. We don't want to put any additional science into the Apollo program. We're done with that for now. That is completely over for the time being. So that's okay. We did get almost 800 science out of that flight, so that's a good one. I do want to think about getting... Let's see. Do we have the lab? No, we need the mobile processing lab for sure. That is absolutely something that we want for our orbital laboratories. We could also grab larger reaction wheels. That would probably be a useful thing for our stations. Atmospheric fluid spectrovariometer would be pretty good too. So we can grab that. Basically, we're looking to invest in any sort of science that we can get our hands on right now. Protobodyne Hex. What I'm really interested in right now is like a cupula module. Where is that? I don't think that's how it's spelled. I think it's spelled with an O here. Okay, we already have it. Good. Just wanted to double check that. That sounds absolutely great. And at this point, we could theoretically consider upgrading our VAB to grab things like the ionographers and the negative gravioli detectors. That would be a good thing. But 1.6 million for that is a lot, so we'll probably not get that just yet. Nuclear propulsion is not something we're going to be taking for the moment. Protective... Okay, larger fairings might be something that we absolutely need for station building. We'll see. That'll be fine. Large modular girder segments, we can kind of make those, but inflatable airlocks would actually be an interesting thing too, although that's not really something that was done in this era of space stations that we're going for. And let's just grab aviation to get that done. There we go. So that's the majority of the tree unlocked. And I do want to go in and make a small modification to our rover. Specifically, what we want is to make sure that we get our science situation dealt with on the rover. So I want to load up Apollo 16. We're going to name that Apollo 17. And we are, of course, going to, first off, have these wheels start retracted. There we go. And then I'd like to put in, like, I would love to have some sort of a flipping mechanism. something like a 1P2 hydraulic cylinder here that we can use like as a stand to flip this, I don't know that we want it there. Or really at all. I think we can just use Kerbals to flip it over. I think that's okay. What isn't okay is these photovoltaic panels. Those obviously have to go, and they need to be replaced with something better. But what? What indeed? We could simply power it with a small photovoltaic panel here in the center, and then a small photovoltaic panel here on the front, maybe rotated like this, and then a pair of small ones on the side as well. These are going to be less vulnerable to being broken, but they will probably still eventually get broken, especially if we go flying the way that we did with the previous one. This one's probably pretty safe, though. I think that this one's unlikely to get hit. So that'll mean that we have, you know, pretty consistent power. We could also put in photovoltaic panels on the back like this. So that way, no matter what way we're facing, in theory, we always have some source of power. In theory. So that's probably a better setup for our rover, but it's not by any means perfect. Okay, well, there we go. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to wrap up the Apollo program. You can leave, well, not next episode. That's going to be a multi-episode affair. I just want to throw that out there. We're going to start the mission next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.